Hi, you guys. Welcome back to Bright Violet Arts. My name is Valerie Morris, and today I'm setting up my November bullet journal pages, and this time I'm doing something a little different. This is my first month ever to do all of the illustrations with gouache paint. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about gouache paint and take you through my process. So let's get started. All right, getting started on this month's cover page art. I'm going to start by drawing in 5 little cylinders, and these are going to be pots for potted plants, and I'm going to paint them all in with gouache paint. So I'm starting off with a black background, and once the black background is completely dry, I'm going to remove the washi tape that I've put around the edges to get a clean border. And I'm going to start in mixing up the colors I'll need for the rest of the art. So this is gouache paint, and gouache, the best way to describe it is it's like opaque watercolor. The difference is that watercolor is translucent, and when you build layers, you can see the layer underneath through the top layer. With gouache paint, the layers are flat, matte, and opaque. So when you go over one layer, you can't see underneath it, which kind of makes this similar to acrylic paint in that you can layer light colors on top of dark colors. And it's really nice for bullet journal art because that flat matte finish that it gives, for whatever reason, it kind of jumps off the page. It has like a velvety finish, and it's just so bright, and I really love the effect that it gives, and I am pretty sure this is what I'm going to use for my December bullet journal setup as well, because I like it so much in the November setup. Another feature of gouache paint that makes it ideal for bullet journaling is that it doesn't buckle or wrinkle the page as much as watercolor does, and that's because it takes less water to mix with the paint to get the proper consistency as compared to watercolor. So watercolor, if you do it carefully and you don't mix too much water into it, it is good for bullet journaling. I used it in July for my Amy Winehouse theme, and I used it in September as well for my Little Shop of Horrors theme. So I do like watercolor for bullet journaling, but now that I'm using gouache for the first time, I have to say, I'm kind of in love with it. I'm a little bit obsessed, and I'm looking forward to developing my skill with painting with it, because it is an adjustment. It's different. Anytime you try a new medium, it's there's an adjustment to learn how to use it, right? So I'm looking forward to getting better at it and doing more complicated artwork with it, but I know I'll be using it again for other bullet journal themes because it just works really well. And I'm just about finished with the cover page here. I'm going to add a little bit of this ombre washi tape in a couple of colors. And with a paint pen, I added a little branch doodle, and that was the end of that. I'm moving on to the calendar spread now, and I kept it really simple with a grid pattern and just a gray Tombow to highlight the top of each box so that I could write in the dates. I have some more ombre washi tape here, and with my fine point Posca paint pen, I'm writing the days of the week. And then I'm going to jump back into my gouache painting here. And another thing I want to point out is that gouache is similar to watercolor in that you can reactivate paint that has dried in your palette just by adding water to it again. If you look at the top of the screen at my palette, you can see the blue and the red are dried just because I haven't reactivated them yet. I mixed a whole bunch of paint on the first page when I was working on that, because I wanted my colors to be consistent throughout all the spreads of November. So I mixed up way more than I needed at that one time, just because I know I can come back day after day and reactivate that same paint in my palette. I kept the font really simple for November. This is basically just my normal handwriting in cursive. And then I'm using my Tombow marker to highlight off a little section for notes at the bottom of the calendar, and it's all done. So moving on, this is my third spread of November, and it is a task and habit tracker spread. And in this video, I definitely wanted to share a little perspective and advice about the different types of gouache that are available for purchase. They definitely vary from one brand to another in terms of quality and price. And, I'll just say the type of paint I'm using in this video is the Winsor & Newton Designer's Gouache. And the designer gouache is available in different sets, but I purchased a set called the Introductory set that has 10 colors, and it was like $70, I think. I did look up the price of it today on Amazon, and they're offering it for $64 US today. This is a nicer quality of paint than I think I actually need for bullet journaling. In the past, like I did say in the beginning of this video, it's the first time I've ever used gouache paint in a monthly setup theme, and that is true. But it is not the first time I've painted a spread in my bullet journal with gouache. So back in the day, like a year ago, I had something called Jelly Gouache, and it was by the brand Himi. And I'm going to link both the set I'm using today and this Himi Jelly Gouache brand that I'm talking about. I'm going to link all of this in my description box, so check it out if you're interested. So the Himi Gouache set had 24 colors, and it was like $30 US. So basically less than half the price. I used that Himi Gouache set for art journal pages in my bullet journal, like just one page at a time, and it just worked great, you guys. And I loved how many colors came in the set. With the 10 color set that I'm using from Winsor & Newton, it's fine. It's definitely higher quality gouache, but this is not, something I'm going to sell to anybody. I don't need it to be like archival quality gouache or whatever. It's just for a bullet journal. So the cheaper gouache is probably what I will buy next time when this gouache runs out, because I did love having a set that had a lot more colors and I didn't have to mix all my colors. And I just, it's a lot more affordable, which is a factor for me. But anyway, getting back to this month's setup, the page I'm working on right now is my first weekly setup. And for the illustration, I kind of offset that pot to the right of the background, so I had room to do these cute little runners coming out of the plant. And I have to say, this was my most favorite page. Most favorite, is that right? Favorite, I guess, is the best way to say that. My favorite page of the month right here. So anyway, I just went with my standard like long vertical boxes for 6 days, and I of course share the weekend, Saturday and Sunday, in one box. And I've got more of that ombre washi tape. I had that ombre washi tape in like 7 colors, and it was perfect because they matched the colors that I mixed of the gouache. So the washi tape coordinates with the gouache colors, and I just loved the way that turned out. And I'm fairly sure that the ombre washi all came in a set, and it has been one of my most beloved purchases for bullet journaling over the last couple of years, because every time I use it, I get compliments on it, like when I post spreads on Instagram or here on YouTube, or even in person if I'm like showing it to one of my journaling friends. Everybody's like, oh wow, how did you do the box top for that, or like the header for the daily box? And I'm like, well, I didn't, it's just washi tape. People seem to think it's like a gradient that I'm making with paint, but it's just washi tape. And I will also link the ombre washi tape set in my description box too, because I can't recommend it enough. It is absolutely my favorite washi ever. And that is gonna do it for the 3rd week of November. So moving on to the last weekly spread, I am setting up all 6 of my daily boxes on the right hand side of the spread, and I'm gonna do like a half illustration, like a half-page illustration on the bottom of the left side of the spread. And so you can tell that these pots are not as opaque as the pots I was doing at the beginning, or at least like the blue and the orange aren't, because I didn't mix enough paint. So I was like reactivating the paint with water, and I was running out of paint by this time in the setup. But I had just enough that I could like get through the last page. After this one, I think, is the memories spread, and that's my final page for the month. So I was able to stretch that paint just by reactivating it with water all the way to the end of the setup. I'm adding some white little specks above each plant. I really don't know what those specks are about. I don't know what they're supposed to be. I just thought they looked cute, so I added them above every plant for the whole month. And like, I'm not sad about it at all. I think it looks really cute, but I could never explain like what they are. Are they supposed to be seeds or sprinkles or like motion lines? I don't know. But stars maybe on the black background? I don't know. I don't know what they are. I just wanted to put little dots on all the plants, so I did. And the month ended with 3 days that didn't fill up a week, so I used the rest of that spread for memories, playlist, and a section for in the news, like current events. And that's going to take us to the final flip through of the month. And I'm just really glad that you guys are watching my video. Thank you so much for your time today. I hope you learned a little bit about gouache, and maybe it inspired you in some way for your own bullet journal or your own art journey to pick up some gouache, or maybe just to draw some plants. I don't know. But either way, thank you so much for checking out Bright Violet Arts. You can follow me over on Instagram. I'm also at Bright Violet Arts over there. Please give me a like if you enjoyed the video, and think about subscribing because I am so excited for my December setup. It is going to be a deluxe setup that includes a holiday planner as well, and I can't wait. So I'll see you there.